Hey everyone, how's it going? Oh my god, I can't believe the virus killed 22 people as of today already. What do we do? I'm stuck in this room for a week now. Ding! I know we can talk about internal control. Actually, we have the honor and privilege to go to SU admission office to do the transfer student credit evaluation process. And then our team member, Tomoko, Hao Chen goes by George, me go by Rich, and E. So to start with, let me give you some background of the audit. So the objective of this audit is to evaluate the design adaptancy and operating effectiveness of the control in place to mitigate the risk relates to the Seattle University credit transferring process. And then the scope of this engagement is to evaluate the credit matching process for prospective transfer student, providing finding from the audit, and discussing possible solution with the client. Um, Let me make it better. Yep. And then all of the potential testing examples, let's see here, all of the potential testing exceptions could occur during this engagement, and as such, the internal audit team will need to design the testing accordingly. The deliverable will be standard full scope within the internal audit committees. And then our favorite and awesome superstar teammate Tomoko developed this super nice, neat, and beautiful flowchart to help you understand the whole process a little better. And then as you can see, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 main process. And then to start with, first one is the prospective student will give the transcript to the admission office. Once the admission office receive that, then they will enter manually their transcript information from the transcript to the SU system called the slate. And then once that's entered, then the evaluator from the admission office will use the student ID and name to see what kind of class they already took, and then compare that class to a different software system called Transfer Evaluation System, abbreviate TES, because they will TES is almost like a guidance to see whether other college courses is design like in which way the material will cover which area, and all of those can be equivalent to certain course in the SU system. And then once the evaluator compile those information into from the TES, then they will make a decision here. If the course they took doesn't match with the SU equivalent courses, then they cannot transfer those credit. If they are qualified, so for example, 90 credits can be transferred, then they will enter that information into the uh, own Seattle U system called a colleague, so they can create their profile, issue then the SU transcript within the colleague. However, as you can see on top, there's one more line all the way to here for the final decision making process. It's from the registrar office, because the registrar office also have the power and rights to correct any evaluation they can see fit. So that's pretty much the whole process. I just really like this flow chart. It's amazing. So to summarize, there are 5 main process for this evaluation. So the initial input and scanning, the slate software system, and then the TES, the colleague software, and then the final decision making. To make it even visualize, so we develop the heat map based on the likelihood and impact for all those 5 major process. And then as you can see in the picture, the initial input as scanning, and then the slate software, and then the colleague software are in the medium and low impact and likelihood that can happen for the risk. However, for the other two, the TES and then the final decision making are in the high likelihood and critical phrases that can impact the risk, and not just for the prospective student, but also for the SU reputations. So let's see. And then we brainstorm the following major risk before we go to the testing phase. So the first risk is to fail to admit eligible student. Uh, because if for some reason if they don't have the accuracy for the information they receive, or they screw up one student name with another courses they taken, so originally the prospective student A can enroll into the SU, but because of the unqualified credit they took or the messed up the name they link, then the admission decided the student A are not qualified, then the eligible student couldn't get to the SU campus. And then the second one is the extra resources for the inefficiency process. As you can see, there are three different systems they need to check: the slate, the TES, and then the colleague. It's looking at all three different screens. It's almost like compare apple versus oranges, in and out, and some manual entering. So it's not very efficient. We can later on we'll tell you how we can improve that as a suggestions. And then the third one is admitting ineligible student, either with the top pressure or someone bribery the evaluator. They could happen is the relative children related to the evaluator could slide into the system, get into the SU with no class took, or they are in the wrong major. So this could be the case happening. And then the fourth one is to release the private information. So with everything online from the three systems, if the hacker hacking, so not just the student name, the social security number, the address could be leaked. At the same time, if they provide any financial information, bank support documents, that could be also critical. And next major risk is to inaccurately financial aid decisions. Um, as you can see, for me too, like I'm a prospective student, and then not just for how many credits you can give it to me. I also want to see whether with the personal statement or the high achievement I did, if the SU can give me any financial support for me to come here. But if the SU doesn't have those information or criteria to evaluate that, then they will not issue the scholarship, and then the student could not choose to come here. And that leads to the last one is the prospective student are not choosing SU. Um, as you know, student will not only just apply one school, they will apply three or to five different schools. And for example, UW or Seattle Pacific University, and they will compare all out of the university, not just for the timing, how many credits they will apply, the tuition cost, financial aid, all of this they will evaluate to see which school they were going to pick. Okay. So based on that, we want to do the testing report for that. However, we are experiencing some difficulty with the scheduling and then the software limitations. Some data in the system was hard to pull. So rather than do the whole year population, we can only shrink down to the most recent one for the last quarter. And then rather than to choose 10 to 30 different sample size, we only nail down to only 3 that represent the most population in each category. The first one is the transfer student from a local community college, which is me. I was transferred from North Seattle Community College to SU. And then the second category will be the student from a 4-year out-of-state university. And the third one is the international transfer student. Then next one. And then for the testing procedures, we have 3 different tests. So the first, we want to make sure the student ID and name on the Slate software match with the colleague. By doing so, we'll know if the student on file is matching with the supporting document stored in the slate. And then we open up the colleague and to see if the credit amount that is eligible to transfer is matching with what we have on the slate. And then the third one is to confirmation between the information on the TES and colleague. Because the TES is serving as a guidance tool, so it has all the information about the credit and course title. Based on the result, you can see because the sensitive information with student ID and name, so we block all those out. We only shows sample 1, 2, 3. So all three of them passed the three tests. However, as you can see, oops, right here, we observe an anomaly in the third sample. The reason being is causing the inconsistency is the register office makes some changes after the evaluation process. So we'll discuss how better managing the communication in the following slides. So overall speaking, there's no inaccuracy found in the sample. Yet, because the sample size is too small to conclude the quality of the process. So with the recommendation we did at the closing meeting with the clients, we gave them 3 areas that they could improve based on our short limited time internal audit project. So the first one is I think they can put more control in places, which is very practical and palatable for them. So the manager could randomly perform the quality review of the evaluations, and then the manager can also oversee any overrides or changes on the finished evaluations. For example, the register office has the power to do that. And then the lastly, manager will do a final review for those controversy evaluations to see why the register office make those changes after the evaluation is already done. Is that a pattern, or they need to talk to register office so everyone on the same page? That's why in the future this won't happen again. And the second point is to change the inefficiency process of the TES. It's because we believe looking at the alternative in the process could help improve this process and speed. Because like I mentioned earlier, like compare 3 different software system is almost like compare apple with oranges. If we can reduce the one of them, put the TES function into one of the slate or colleague software, then it will be more like compare apple to apple in the same line and reduce confusion and inefficiency, and then it will be faster in that way. And then the third one is to provide annual and seasonal meeting with the staff and evaluators, so they can talk about what's the difficulty part for this case, or can we improve that. If there's a new regulation and changes involved, what we can be prepared for it, so everyone on the same page, there's no surprises. So the response we receive from the clients is they are very happy with our findings. They really like what we did for them. So they are planning to adapt a quality check and the review of the evaluations, and they are aware of the importance of the communication within the group and evaluators. They will definitely work with the register closely to complete transfer student evaluation, especially the one obtained the credit after the admission is done. And then the manager did not, however, respond to the change in TES due to the limitation of the software or alternative. So for the timeline follow-up, and then the client says they will definitely review the plan, adopt the group meeting right away in the short run, and then communicate more often with the register during the evaluation process. They can all be the same page. But changing the TES software system, it will be on the low priority list because they already signed up for a long subscription with the TES. So that will be very costly to replace it. And there's in the market right now, there's not a lot of option out there. Um, but maybe for our next internal audit, we can maybe suggest that they can use the IT department to build within their colleague a special software that based on their past 10 years data, they can come up with a sequential so that will be helping the flow a little bit easier. Probably that'll be another great idea. So do you have any questions for us? Oh wow, I see so many people raise their hands. All right, let me take some notes and summarize all the questions you guys asked. So it seems like you have three big questions, like what did your team member learn from this experience? I think the overview of the whole internal process as a big picture is really helpful because not just we are not just focused on one step, one process, one control, or one number. Instead, we have the chance to talk to the clients to see what their needs, what they're most worried about, and then to go to the walkthrough, have a narrative, and then to brainstorm some major risks the client could face, and then testing those risks in controlling places, and then at the end come back to the clients, give them our findings and recommendations. I think it's definitely adding more value for the clients, and then I feel like I did really something good for them. It made me feel happy too. So the second one is the hardest part of the audit. Uh, it's not just the number calculation or how to testing the control or the asking the right question, but more practically is the scheduling with everyone within our group. Three of us working full time, and clients has a most difficult part on the this quarter because of different schedule or meetings. On top of that is the virus and then the sickness. So it's just so hard to coordinate. However, with the technology now, we were able to get it done with the Zoom or send the email earlier so everyone on the same page. So, which is help. We'll think outside the box to get it done for sure. And then the last one is what did you like the most? I think Tomoko, for example, like the flowchart best. And then for me, I think it's to get a taste of the internal control world. Um, because before that, I didn't know what the internal control is. It's just all about review the financials, spend Oxley. And so now I can see, oh, besides that, we can talk to clients, we can see, provide real information or value added thing to the clients. For me, that's really helpful. All right, if you don't have any other questions, I have to go out to buy some toilet paper. I think it's out. All right, talk to you then. Bye.